Welcome back to Lost in Roshar, the ultimate journey through the Stormlight Archive. I'm Christian Kremling.
And I'm Jimmy Stormbliss. Today we are diving into some span reads, maybe some different type of ideas of what Christian's video is going to be about that he's been working on diligently after we've been gone for about a month. But the bigger question about this episode is, Christian, how are you?
I am good, my friend. It's been, you know what? This break has been needed. I've never been on such an emotional roller coaster since a book released.
What does that roller coaster look like for you?
Well, look, I read the book and I finished it. I was like, damn, that was awesome. I mean, I know the faults exist, guys. Dialogue's not great. Over-explaining, all those things. But I'm like, you know what? Those theories happened. The ending was hype. Happy where everyone's left off. I got a lot to think about. Feel good. And then it's been a snowball effect of just like people screaming at each other in every online space, just screaming. And it's just exhausting. It was just exhausting watching stuff on Wind and Truth. I mean, it's such a bummer way to open the episode, but let's be real here. It's been like an exhausting space to be in.
Oh, certainly. I mean, but it's kind of internet discourse about media in general now, right?
Oh, yeah, I guess. But like I felt a little immune to it. And our whole lead up to this, it's just been like positive vibes. And like, of course, everyone's open to criticize, but I don't know, man, something about the way it's going, it just killed like any enthusiasm I had. I'm not going to lie. I was just like, I just want to not think about Stormlight and do other things for a minute. And I started.
Well, we've also been stepping on the gas pretty hard over the last few months, and getting into this thing. And, one thing I guess I would say is like this show, Lost in Roshar, has never been about reviewing anything, to be honest with you. Like we obviously talk about the chapters, and like I will randomly chime in about maybe a writing technique here and there because I do like the line by line stuff. That's something I'm interested in. But this show has always more so been about the lore, the world building, the epicness of it all, and the kind of the spectacle, and then trying to crack the code. That's what Lost in Discovery. Yeah. I mean, that's what your YouTube channel is literally founded on, is that you're trying to discover the ending of the Stormlight Archive. Like you were trying to crack this case, long ago. And by the way, you did a pretty knock-up job of it, if I do say,
thanks, man.
If I could say. I mean, you do. And that's really what this podcast was about. This was not about maybe like, will Brandon Sanderson win the Pulitzer this year? Like it was never that.
Yeah.
So it's a little odd. I would say, folks, if you're listening to this and you're tuning in because you're looking for like a review, probably the wrong place. Would you agree?
Yeah. I mean, and that's what I had to remind myself of, because when I was watching things and I was in discussions, I'm like, well, I feel like I'm not a reviewer. Do you know what I mean? Like, I have my opinions, but I don't get fired up about like picking a book apart on its literary merit. I like exploring the world building of Stormlight and trying
which has been who you've been forever, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think I kind of got pulled into this space that I didn't want to be in. And stepping away from it for a month, starting Realm of the Elderlings, playing Skyrim,
Red Lonesome Dove, right?
Oh, I mean, not in this month off, but last year. Yeah, Lonesome Dove is like the greatest bloody thing on this earth. Anyway, just like doing other things for a month and then coming back to Stormlight, I'm like, what did I really love about Wind and Truth? And then I discovered that, and you saw me discovering that because I was messaging you like, dude, look at all these things I'm figuring out about chapter titles and stuff.
Oh, it's insane. Like as everyone's having their petty arguments of whether or not like Kaladin should say therapy in Roshar, right? Christian sends me a manifesto, and the things that Christian is peeling back, like I'm not exaggerating, no one else is doing this. Nobody. There is nobody else. Like if you're all about the lore and whatever, like this is the dude that you guys should be listening to, because this guy cares so much about the intricacies and the little, just tiny bits of foreshadowing. Because I feel like some people have forgotten we have 5 more books to go.
Yeah.
And you are already on it. Like you're on the case. And also you're proving past foreshadowing to be true that me and you never even caught.
Yeah. No, there's a lot, man. There's a lot. Um, and yeah, like because like I started right. I was like, okay, it's all about day 10. All the chapter titles are death rattles, right? Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
because we're the death rattle bloody. We're a bit obsessed, right? So those are all true. And I'm like, let's just do a death rattle video. And I was just going through all of those. Okay, that's that death rattle, blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, what about these chapter titles? You know, they look somewhat familiar. And and then I realized, I'm not sure how much to say here. Although I did say this on a stream on Jake's channel, so I will say it here. It's out. It'll be out there. The video will present it in a much cooler way, but it'll be out there. So there are one of the first things we talked about in episode 1. I talked about how the Kremling, well, the Sleepless, are writing the blurbs of the books,
Mm-hmm.
specifically the US covers, which I think is a loss that we don't get them here. But part of the lore is that they are writing the blurbs of your physical copy you have right now, and in those blurbs they're saying that they're watching our main characters, hence why I'm obsessed with Kremlings, and because it's a clue that they're being watched. Anyway, every one of those back covers from Way of Kings, Words of Radiance, Oathbringer, and Rhythm and War are quoted in the chapter headings of day 10. So we've got Death Rattles, we've got the Sleepless. Then I kept digging further, and as this was happening, I kept messaging you, Jimmy. There are other chapters which refer to people who can see the future in Roshar and quotes of conversations they've had in previous Stormlight books. I won't really get more into it because I want to save that for the video. And then there is one that is absolutely freaking mind-blowing that I was like, this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous that I found this. And then there's about 4 that I don't know what they mean. There's 4 I'm still figuring out, but I'm trying to compile that into a video now. And I was like, oh, I'm excited about Stormlight again because this is why I love it.
Yeah. There's a puzzle.
Yeah, there's a puzzle
solved, and Christian loves him some puzzles.
Yeah,
no doubt about it. Yeah, some of the stuff that you're pointing, like I said, I'd literally never even considered it, never thought of it, and I don't think it's. I think you're on to something.
Yeah,
big.
something's going on. That's
Pretty
the problem,
cool.
though. I'm like onto something. I got no conclusive answers. It's funny.
Well,
when
that's okay though.
I was on a stream with Jake on his channel, and I pitched this like an absolute maniac, and they're like, "Yeah, so," and I was like, "They don't understand the numbers. The numbers they add up."
It's the meme of the guy in the corner, like they don't even understand that the Sleepless are writing chapter titles. Like, you know what I mean?
I'm like, dude, the Sleepless, and then I'm like, so like. Why is because I was thinking, why is the chapter symbol crumbling? And I guess it's the crumbling of the Oath Pact because but I was like, are the Sleepless writing the chapter headings? But I was just like all these because I'm like, who? And then I started thinking, if this Sandman is doing lore about the blurb of his book, surely there's lore about who wrote the chapter titles, right?
Oh,
because
definitely.
This is like the translation. He always says that this is the translation of the Stormlight Archive into English. So who wrote the chapter titles? Somebody did. Maybe it was the Sleepless dude. And they say in the Wind and Truth blurb in your copy, we've lost the ability to see the future. And I'm like, so the Kremling hive mind could look into the future? How are they doing that, bro? Like, how? And like, yeah. Because and then you go back to the Way of Kings and they're like, one of them will save us, one of them will destroy us. So like they were checking out visions. And they're like, yeah, stuff's gonna happen with these people. So what are they doing, man? What's the hive mind up to? Yeah. So I'm figuring that out. No surprise. I'm obsessed with the Kremlings.
I think not having a conclusion though is totally acceptable because what happens is that you then begin discourse and you open it up to other people to think about this thing and then go off and to kind of like do their own searching, right?
Oh yeah, I want to leave it at that. Like here's my evidence. This is my case. Can you guys please help? And we'll try and figure this out.
Just sleuthing through the Stormlight Archive. I really love it, folks. I've seen the intro to this video. that Christian worked very, very hard on this intro. It is the most cinematic thing I've ever seen.
I don't know how to follow it. I'm about to adapt the Way of Kings here in this.
I'd say honestly, it's like adaptation level theatrics for a theory video with live footage, which is crazy.
It's the classic like you go to these like low budget channels and they have this like sick intro like boom boom, boom reactions and like commentaries.
And it's just me like throwing you know my Dragonbone chair at the camera, being like, "You slapped."
Yeah, it's like filmed on a Nokia, like, hey guys, another theory. And it's like I gotta like keep up this standard somehow. So this video will take a long bloody time because there's this rush, right? Where you're like, I gotta talk about Wind and Truth first. I gotta drop this theory first before anyone else. But you know what? My most viewed video is me talking about the epilogue of Rhythm of War. It has way too many views. And you know what? It got debunked. But I still think it would be cooler if what I presented actually happened. Like, if Hoyd was like outsmarting Taravangian, but he wasn't. Anyway, so I thought like when I make this video, you know, it's about the last bit of Wind and Truth. This will get, you know, viewed by people finishing Wind and Truth for 5 years, right? Yeah. Because it's like the first thing you do. Like I'm interested in day 10. There's a lore video on it. So like let's make it bloody good instead of just pumping out a like, hey guys, so this chapter means this and this chapter is boring. Like let's do something cool. So
let's use the visual medium of YouTube to actually present something in a manner that's entertaining. Yeah, I mean, no one works as hard as you, I don't think.
Oh, stop
when
it.
It comes to the
don't hype it up too much. Don't hype it up too much.
Dude, the intro is so it's so sick.
It's almost comically over the top.
It is. I said it's almost cooler than the series itself. Like that like you're venturing into false advertisement like territory. Like it's so sick.
Let's just say, like, you know, when you start Dune and it's like got that guy with the throat singing and it's like dreams are in the dark. Like there's like quote that comes up. Like that is the vibe of the start of this video.
Very Dune influence. I would say. Denise might be sending a cease and desist.
Just literally a theory video about chapter headings. I'm like, no. We're dropping this. It's like the bass hits and the quotes come. Oh, guys.
It's dedicated to David Lynch.
Okay, sure, why not? Shout out to Mulholland Drive.
Great movie.
Dude, I was so, because that was my first venture into like David Lynch.
That was mine. Now that you said that, I just remembered.
Like an 18-year-old, and I was like,
what? Yeah, I was like 18 or 19 when I watched it.
Yeah, I was like, dude, what the hell was that? And then I just kept watching it. Like I just couldn't, and I'm realizing now, that kind of checks out with who I've become. Like, I need to figure this out. There's clues. The blue box, the key. What does it mean? You know, I love that stuff.
I love that. I want to watch Mulholland Drive now.
So that's my rant about Wind and Truth. Don't worry, like I'm fine. Okay.
Yeah, just need a little break, bro.
Needed a minute. It was all too much, but now I'm back. I'm refreshed. I'm looking at chapter headings and death rattles. I'm comfy. I'm cozy.
Back in the saddle again with the strap.
Strapped in, yeah.
Strapped in, bro.
Not moving. But speaking of being strapped in, maybe we need to address how you're doing, my friend. What's going on, dude?
There's a lot going on. As many people all over, at least the United States, are feeling, layoffs and all types of different things. And thankfully, I haven't been fully affected by being laid off yet, but it's been a pretty rough. It's been a rough 2025 so far. We're 18 days in, I think, as recording this. Not been good. Not a great year. Not a good start, unfortunately, but things will be fine. Just have to kind of buckle down and put my energy towards getting things in a good position, I guess. But Christian took an extended break. I took an extended break, which did lead to some soul searching, as they say. And I decided to make a couple different changes in my life. I do a lot. There's plenty of people only know me from this show, but I do other things as well online in different spaces. But I also have things I do in IRL, as they say, in physical life.
In the physical realm, one might say.
Yes, but towards the end of 2024, I was really feeling a lot of pressure to make a change with my life, just because of where I was and mentally, but also energy wise, and just being stretched really, really thin. So the conclusion was, after talking to Christian, is that I am actually going to be leaving Lost in Roshar, which, yeah,
get the soundboard out, mate. Click the audience applause.
well, it depends on who you are, right? I mean, it might be an air horn, because there are plenty of people who are not super huge fans, but there are also some people who are probably, not.
They probably think this is an April Fool's thing. Way too chill about it all.
Yeah, well, it's because you and I have already talked about it, right? Like, we
like a while ago.
We've processed it. We actually went to record last week, and we decided to just kind of hang out and talk, and we didn't end up recording. The vibes were off. We were good, but we were like, we can't really do an episode right now. So we've had 2-3 weeks to sit on it, and it's definitely the right call for me.
Yeah.
And and Christian's like, everyone's going to think it's because of Wind and Truth, right? And I'm like, I know, but it's not. It literally has nothing to do with Wind and Truth. It has everything to do with me kind of burning the candle at both ends for the last 4 years. Really, the last two. The last two have been pretty strapped. No pun intended, to bring it full circle. But I had also been I signed up for some writing courses. It's something I've had the itch and I need to scratch it, kind of thing. But I realized that with that, there's also some things that I just needed to step away from and kind of realign everything in my life. And there's other parts of other things that I do that I'm cutting back on, and I'm reevaluating as well. And this is one of the things that I felt like, if I can't give it my 100%, Christian does a lot of work and a lot of prep and is dedicated. And I feel like if I can't be dedicated and give 100%, then it's not really all that fair. And also, me and Christian have been friends way before Lost in Roshar. We'll continue to be friends afterwards. I was nervous whenever I came to the conclusion and told Christian, and all he did was
silly, mate.
Yeah, all he did was support me, because Christian knows. I mean, I'm not the most mentally healthy person in the world, so you get it. You kind of understood it. And I'm very grateful for you showing me so much grace and respect, and honestly taking it like a freaking champ, man. Because
of course, dude.
Yeah.
In the end, we're friends first, right?
Yeah.
This is just like a fun thing we did.
Yes.
And the Way of Kings reread will be like forever, just like the best.
I mean,
like great memes.
We had some good times, man.
Yeah, man. We'll like look back on that and be like, damn, that was awesome.
Yeah,
and you know what? At least
it's got us to spend more time together, though.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll be better friends because of it.
Yeah.
And we did that. We did the Way of Kings. We got to Wind and Truth, like mission complete.
We did it.
It feels like we accomplished something. And I don't want to drag you through the mud and be like, come on, dude. One more Words of Radiance flashback.
One more. Just one
for
more.
The $10 ad rev.
The $10 ad rev.
Like, of course I'm bummed, guys. Of course. It sucks. But it's the right move. As for what happens next, your guess is as good as mine.
I mean, the thing,
I don't know.
The thing is, you got this huge video coming, and I am going to come back around whenever we want to talk about something that maybe Christian discovers. Like, I'm sure I'll be back.
Yeah, I can pull you in, like, for the occasional, like, dude.
Absolutely.
Let's get a bit tinfoily.
Yes.
And I can get you one. But yeah, guys, look, I don't know. Still figuring out what Lost in Roshar looks like after this. I need a minute. Next week, we're going to do a Jimmy farewell app. So send in your span reads. Make sure to dunk on him as much as possible. Any sort of bad jokes that are Jimmy themed.
Oh, we would love to see that.
Yeah, very well. As much strap content, I think, as possibly, as humanly possible.
And photoshops. I think that would
yeah.
Would be
Jimmy on every Stormlight cover.
Yeah, actually, Christian did do that and changed all of the title. This is like 5 years ago. He changed all of the titles of the books to nuts themed. So it was like Nuts of Radiance, and it was my head on the character on the cover. It was so good.
Oh, good times.
The Way of Nuts.
Yeah.
The
Way of Nuts. But that's the thing. Like, yeah, a lot of you will be like Spotify only people or Apple podcast people. Jimmy's in like 50,000 projects, and I like just scooped him up. Where this is like the one thing I do, so I get it. I get it. You can't do everything, and you got to prioritize and pick what you're passionate on about.
Yeah, and also I think that like the lesson that I've had to learn is, so I get really antsy when I'm not being productive. It's actually kind of a problem. But for me, I have to realize that just because I can do something, it's feasible to do something, that I don't always have to do it, right? And it was a no-brainer when you're like, dude, we should start this podcast. Like, what do you think? I'm like, yeah, let's give it a shot. You remember? And we both said, we're like, if we do 4 episodes and no one's listening and it sucks, we just won't do it, right? End up doing it for well over a year, getting through an entire book, getting through the hottest new release 2024, talking about that, going through, great times where people are sending. I mean, lately it's been just heaters. Like the jokes have been great, but we went through so many weeks where I think we got emails about how awful I was and how you needed a new sidekick. So those people will probably come back, which is cool. Way more people who showed love.
Yeah, of course.
And then my arch nemesis Jake. We never even did a 3 episode.
Yeah, we never did the crossover.
Never did it.
I'll try and make it happen.
We never did.
But yeah, guys, please, I don't know. It's all good. I just don't want any hate or any negativity. Like, let's be sad. Jimmy Stormblessed, a legend to behold, but Lost in Roshar is not dead. It lives on in some fashion. Don't know how, but yeah, don't conflate this with, he hated Wind and Truth and he ducked. It's really
literally nothing to do with that at all.
Yeah,
at all.
But anyway, yeah, send in whatever you want to say to Mr. Stormblessed, and we'll cover it next week on the final official Jimmy app. But hey, man, let's jump into some span reads.
Let's do it,
because a lot of people have a lot of thoughts, and the thoughts that we're getting not like this barrage of echo chamber. We're getting a lot of unique takes in our span
we always
reads.
have, honestly.
Yeah. Okay. Do you want to? You're the guy who reads these, man. So how about you do the Dalinar equals Redemption?
I would love to. Let me open up the email.
Yeah. Don't worry. I'm as equally.
Are you just starring them?
Yeah, I've started.
Dalinar equals Redemption. Okay, so check this out. This one's from Jesse. What's up, Jesse S? Won't say your full name because you never know. Great people out there.
Jesse Spinkman.
Yeah. Yeah. I like it. I want to say his catchphrase, but it's,
Yeah. Just do yes, science. There you go.
Which? Yeah. Okay, so span read message to you guys about a theory I am formulating for Stormlight Archive 6+. Or maybe it's the Voidlight Archive or something else at this point. I don't have the Cosmere knowledge needed to really get into depth with this, so maybe I can pass along to you and let you guys do your thing if you think it's worth looking into. At the end of the book, Dalinar mentions the youthfulness of honor, and it's only recently becoming self-aware. He says it needs to grow. He renounces his oaths, losing the contest and making Taravangian retribution the problem for other gods and shards. If honor matures, in quotes, and abandons Taravangian in favor of a more attractive shard like valor, would the new shard be called Redemption? Passion plus honor equals retribution. Valor plus honor equals redemption. Those are kind of inverts or opposites, and Sanderson tends to play with those types of conflicting themes, such as Stormlight, Voidlight, among others. The mystery around Dalinar's spirit at the end of Wind and Truth is something I'm sure we'll learn about in the next era. Maybe his spirit was already claimed by another shard. Maybe it's Valor. Maybe Dalinar will be reforged somehow and becomes the champion of or herald of redemption. Maybe I'm off my rocker. Kaladin does name himself the Herald of Second Chances. He'd be another perfect herald for a newly formed redemption. Anyway, thanks for reading Life Before Death, Jesse.
Pretty dope theory, Jesse.
I like this quite a bit. And I think that these are probably the questions coming out of Wind and Truth that I think are the most relevant.
Yeah, I think so too.
Like what does Herald of Second Chances mean we know what it has meant at this point, like why he's dubbed that, but like what's that mean in the future?
Yeah, it's very we're focused on like just the last events, and we haven't really looked forward too much yet.
Mm-hmm.
And Valor is a shard that's coming up a lot. So a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people are saying this like fourth moon is like a suggestion that Valor is a shard that is like a secret shard on Roshar. That's quite a popular little theory
Okay.
popping around.
Okay.
So maybe, although I'm not really, yeah, that's something I got to look into. The shard stuff, I'm not as confident on, but I think Jesse is on the right track in terms of what Sanderson likes to play with
Mm-hmm.
theme wise, and like redemption versus retribution sounds like a very cool dynamic. It's interesting. I never thought about like the new Oath Pact being uh correlated with a new shard.
Yeah.
It felt like we left that kind of dynamic behind and we're like independent now. And it just feels so different than what we're used to. You know, it's like they're in like a field just talking about their feels, you know?
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
I don't know where that goes. And
yeah.
that's actually a pretty cool question, I think, and one of the reasons
Yeah.
why I like where Kaladin ends up at the end.
Mm-hmm. Oh man. I think the broken chapter header and then with Kaladin as the epilogue was one of the cooler moments.
Yeah,
I would say.
I would agree.
But I like it. I like your theory. I like the Valor inclusion because it's the fourth moon stuff is obviously a massive thing we need to look into. But I don't want to confirm nor deny it yet. I do have spoilers for Stormlight 6, you know, so we just got to be careful here on the pod. All right. Let's talk about another span read. I'm looking for a good one.
We have this one here from Zishan A, I think Zishan.
Okay.
And it's titled Dalinar's Plan and the Dark Forest Hypothesis. I think this is going to kind of mix in some sci-fi elements possibly. Ooh. So I kind of like this. Hi there. Well, hello. Love the podcast and the extremely funny banter between you guys. I just wanted to highlight a cool parallel between Dalinar's plan to renounce his oath and goading Taravangian to take up Honor Sunmaker's gambit. One of the theories that attempts to answer the Fermi paradox and how we don't see other, intelligent life teeming out through the universe, and it's been billions of years. The Dark Forest hypothesis suggests that the universe is a dangerous place with bigger and badder aliens akin to, well, a dark forest filled with brutal predators off the food chain. It is best to be stealthy and silent for one's survival, lest they be noticed by a predator and meet their untimely end. In freeing Retribution and in letting the shards combine, Dalinar pointed a big white spotlight, Retribution light possibly, on Roshar for the other shards, i.e. predators, to target. I already love this. And doing this, he essentially did a table flip on the game of towers between him and Taravangian, which Sando neatly foreshadowed in one of the epigraphs, chapter 121. It reads, "Rarely the wise will also seek in loss to flip the board and scatter the pieces. But if you do this, it is likely the last time you will play. This is also not an adage to towers. Proverbs for towers and war." It's not only, I guess, an adage for towers. Dalinar flipped the board for the last time. RIP. IRP, rest in pepperonis. Anyways, not really a crackpot theory, but thought you guys might want the sci-fi mixed in. Here's to a decade of waiting for the next arc. Hopefully crazy theories in between. Cheers. Cheers. I love it.
I love that too. Just the whole concept of the Dark Forest and the name, the Dark Forest, is so bloody foreboding. I've always been super interested in that. And it's a quick slippery slope to an existential crisis when you start thinking about the cosmic scale of things, hey?
Oh, definitely. And I do love this. I mean, anyone's read the 3-body problem, there's plenty of scenes in there that are pretty absurd, but I think that is also something I think about. And when you put it like that, yeah, Dalinar kind of did do it, didn't he?
I like because his whole thing was like, I keep punching my way through problems. Literally flips table. That's his final character moment.
Roll D20, flip table. Success, critical hit.
I mean, I don't know. I think he's just nailed it here, and especially with that epigraph quote. 100%.
Oh yeah, he did. No, he killed it. I love it. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, like I think it's a great parallel though, and it makes me think about the Cosmere as a whole. And here's my one thing about the Cosmere, right?
Okay.
All right.
Tell me
if I'm just ruining the fun here, but the more Cosmere planets we get,
Oh no, don't do it.
the smaller it feels.
Okay. Oh, okay.
All right.
Okay. I thought you were going to say the more I think Earth's going to show up. That's what I thought you were going to say.
Oh no! Like it just cuts to Sando writing.
Oh no.
Do you think you'll like make him himself an in-universe character?
There's been an author who did that before in a fantasy series.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it could be done well.
I can't say who it is because it's a huge spoiler, but yeah.
Oh, okay. I mean, that could be very fun.
I like it in that series. A lot of people don't, but I do.
Yeah, it could burst the bubble.
It's so infamous that me saying that, if someone knows, they know. Like,
oh, okay.
It's only one.
I feel like you may have told me.
I probably did.
Yeah. I mean, I basically made you tell me the whole plot of the 3-body problem because I knew I wasn't going to have time to delve into it, and it sounds
TV
great.
Show's good.
Yeah, I've heard.
A lot of people didn't like it apparently, but I liked it.
Didn't Benioff write a book as well recently?
I don't know if it was recently, but Benioff wrote City of Thieves, which is like a historical fiction, I think, of World War II or World War I, and it's actually really highly rated. Yeah.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, bit of a banger, in fact.
Bit of a redemption arc.
Yeah, I would say so. I thought that the 3-body problem was good. Like I said, I know that there's some people who really didn't like the adaptation, but I don't know. I thought it was good. I thought it improved a lot about the books because the characters are very like 2-dimensional. Like they're just there to like represent like basically like a philosophy. So the characters are not very good in 3-body problem. And I thought the show did a better job. There's still some things about the show I didn't like, but overall, like I had a really good time with it.
It's one of those, like we were just talking about Severance. And it's like, until I'm finished with Severance season 2, no other shows. I'm locked in. But hey, let's talk about Jacob. Two-eared Jake, he's known as. If you go down to put on your tin foil hats as the subject, I think we got to read this one, man.
Okay, is this on the second page here?
It's far down. I've only just spotted it. Man, there's a lot. There is a lot.
There's so many.
No, it's above the last one. It's about 4 or 5 above the last one you read. Put on your tinfoil hats on Christmas Day.
Christmas Day, which is different for me and you, by the way.
Okay,
I got it.
Come on, mate.
I got it.
Come on.
It wasn't starred. It doesn't star on my end.
I just started. That's
okay,
why.
I got it. All right, here we go. Jacob says, "Hello again, fellow Bridgemen. I've been anticipating the return of the show after finishing Wind and Truth. I was pumped to listen to the episode today, meaning our last one, I guess. Mm-hmm. So here we go. While listening to you talk about Shallan and being stuck in Shadesmar, I thought about the strange things that have happened to her. Also, I thought about the fact that her mom is a herald. Is a cognitive shadow. This definitely could explain her being able to go fully into Shadesmar at times, even though the transportation is not one of her surges as a Lightweaver. I think it can work the other way too. She will find a way to get back in Roshar at some point. I hope it doesn't happen until book 6 because it happening off screen would be disappointing. I think it works since she doesn't understand this about herself. I think it would be cool for Shallan to come back with her child to meet Adolin.
After a few years. Ooh. This I like.
Yeah, I like this too.
Jacob, you got me thinking about book 6 and how these characters are going to return. And I think what would be really strong is if Sanderson focuses on a whole new cast of characters and doesn't show us Shallan, Adolin, Kaladin, all these people 500-600 pages into the book. Would you agree? Like you need to be like, man, what's going on? Like, who are these new people? Get me settled.
Yeah.
Maybe throw in Lift. Get me a bit.
So you're expecting brand new POVs.
Yeah.
Okay.
I hope so. I'm hoping for brand new POVs.
Yeah, the only way you could do it is if they are not the main POVs. Like, if you're still wanting them to be POVs and you don't mention them for hundreds of pages, I think that could go really astray. But I do like the idea of just like sitting there and waiting and waiting and waiting. The only thing is like, I don't know, for me personally, a lot of the like, oh my God, like when will I see these people again was taking me back just a little bit. like especially with Shallan, like being able to actually like call out of Shadesmar, like instead of just being able to wonder, like, well, how's she going to talk to Adolin and making me wait 8 years for it? So I think that would be a good way of building back that tension, possibly. I don't know. I kind of like it.
Yeah, I guess there's no like super obvious reason that you would not hear from them for so long. But if we're doing a time jump, he can create whatever reason he wants. But yeah, I guess the whole like Harold's parentage thing gives like, I mean, it explains almost everything about Shallan up until this point that was not answered.
Yeah.
But if it's just that simple, mum's a herald, let me just pass into the physical realm real quick. Not that exciting. Sorry, can you hear Frankie?
I heard a little Frankie in the back. I like it.
Frankie.
I love it.
Frankie's having a little bit of a meltdown there.
he's a good pup. He's a good pup. He's like, Dad, I was quiet for an hour and 40 minutes.
Yeah, dude. He's like, let me back in. Yeah, well, okay.
Yep.
I think it does explain a lot about Shallan, but if it's just that like, oh, okay, mum's a herald, I can come back. I agree. Not very satisfying. So that's why I present the case for keep them away, or keep at least some of them. I want to be left wondering.
Yes.
Even after the break and book 6 is out, I still want to wonder while I'm reading book 6.
It's going to be a build up to when you see those characters again. And like out of all of them, I would imagine Kaladin will probably be the last one we would see, right?
Yeah.
I think. I think we have a good one here that we could wrap up on because it has a few different points in it.
Yeah, sure. Let's do it.
And we still have a ton to go. So next week, even though it's the Jimmy farewell episode, which I don't really know what that.
It's more of a like Jimmy outing onto the street.
Yeah, get a few. We'll
some
get
pennies on you.
Yeah, it's going to be almost probably exclusively span reads unless we get some major news or something. But this one's from Josh Fear, and there's 3 parts, so we'll break on each part to talk. So I'm not going to read the whole email through. We'll stop when at each point. So it says, fellow Kremlings, so stoked to hear you guys. I love it. So stoked to hear you guys' reactions to Wind and Truth. Been listening to the pod for a while and seeing so many Lost in Roshar theories and predictions come true was extremely satisfying. Trust me, Josh. We felt the same way. Overall, I really enjoyed book 5, but at this point, I'm so invested in the story and characters that I knew I would be sucked in despite any potential flaws. There are so many things you guys addressed that I could comment on, but instead I wanted to bring up a few that weren't mentioned to get your insights on them, which I'm so glad you did, by the way, Josh, because with a book that's 1,350 pages, reading it through one time, there's plenty of things that we did not touch on.
100%. And
these are 3 really cool ones. So number 1 is a major plot point that I found interesting regarding the history of Roshar was Ado Mishram. I always say it wrong, but we'll call her Bam from now on. And seeing her experience with the listeners and the humans. Although she is probably the biggest thing I was missing from the following action of the book, since they loosed her at the same time the Contest of Champions, I feel like we didn't get to see any implications of what she's going to do now that she's free, unless if I completely missed it. But I wanted to get your guys' opinion. Is she going to be able to go against Retribution in the future, or will she be another villain to the humans? We will see the rest of the Unmade come together with their own agenda. I wish we would have gotten some sort of clue to what her future would look like. So this is a great point, and this is something that I've seen some people talking about. Now, there could be details that I'm missing now that it's been a month removed. And again, there were so many details in the book. But I also felt like Bam was missing from the falling action, and it made me very, very curious of what is going to happen. My guess is that she will be a villain towards the humans, at least at first appearances in the sequels. But I do believe that I think there's going to be like a legend of Mishram like going around, and she might be someone we don't see for many, many pages.
Well, the thing about Bam is I went into this book thinking we're going to start with Bam and see the fallout of Bam like throughout Wind and Truth, when in reality she was kind of like her backstory was throughout, but the climax was freeing her, and we're left wondering, right? And she became a much more interesting character in some ways because of that, because we understand where she's come from. And she's much more nuanced than we realized. And those scenes of her on the battlefield is this like shadowy, like multi-legged figure sending the listeners into the afterlife and cradling humans. Like so cool, so damn cool. Don't know if she'll be a villain, because like there's the whole parallel of her backstory.
Oh yeah, I mean she was screwed over pretty hard, right?
Yeah.
I think like what we're about to see is like a lot of guerrilla warfare through Lost. I almost said Lost and Roshar. Through Roshar. And I think that there are not going to be like one side versus the other side. I think it's going to be like many small camps. And she's definitely going to be a leader of some form of people for sure.
Yeah, I could see like a religious sort of uprising happening, or like a myth of her garnering like a lot of followers. Yeah. I could see that happening for sure. I think, yeah, she'll be one of the more interesting parts. It's like the Unmade are another one of those things where, I don't know, like a big question mark. Like, will they forever remain background, or will we get more of that? I hope we get more of it, because there's death rattles about them. There's more myths about them. I want to see more of them. But yeah, do you want to go number 2?
Yeah. So number 2 is we got another little glimpse of Rysn when Wit discovered that she has a Dawnshard. But other than that, it seems like she remains hidden from everyone else, including Odium. But what are the implications for her in the second arc? And when are we finally going to see a Dawnshard do something?
Well, so she's got a Dawnshard, and then we see Hoyd give the other Dawnshard to Sigzil, which is very cool.
And Sigzil's probably going to leave at some point.
I mean, yeah. Anyway, so then you've got I mean, the book's, yeah. Then you got the novella, right? And I've got to reread it because, you know who those main characters were, dude? Sleepless. And they were I wonder if that's how they saw the future, because they had a Dawnshard with them, right? And then Rysn took it or whatever. So like, we can't see anymore. But then, dude, the Sleepless have a Dawnshard? Are you kidding me? So yeah, I need to reread that. So I think we are seeing Dawnshards do stuff.
We just don't know it yet.
The Sleepless.
Oh, okay.
Like they're using them to see stuff, but like to actually, she's probably an end game character, right? Because a lot of people are suspecting like this reforging of Adonalsium by the end of the Cosmere or something akin to that. And you'll probably need the Dawnshards to do something of that magnitude. They've got like the four original intents of Adonalsium, and I think the one that Hoyd had / now Sigzil had, the intent was survive, I think. And then I don't know what the one that Rysn has is. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, this is one of my biggest blind spots with Stormlight and Cosmere's like Dawnshard stuff. Like I'm pretty like clueless when it comes to this.
I used to be good. Don't remember it all that much though.
God, that was strong, Ben.
Yeah. Fetch me the breastplate stretcher. Anyway, so yeah, she's going to be an endgame character. He's setting up certain people to be there for quite a while, and Rysn is one of them. I think that's why she's so peppered in throughout. She's just lightly added in every story. Reminder, she's going to be super important, which I think is much better than how Sigzil has been handled. It's kind of like he was there, he was cool, and then he's really important now. Which is, I mean, it's interesting, but at least Rysn's been there.
Yeah, I wasn't personally I'm not super interested in Sigzil, to be honest with you. I always got him mixed up with Lopen before recent.
Oh, that's a big mix up, mate.
I know it is, but like I got him mixed up all the time.
Yeah, because for a while you're just like, yeah, it's like Rock, Teft, and then the boys, like everyone else is just the boys, and like Sigzil was like just below them, and you knew, hey, he's the math guy, like he wants to test stuff, and then Sunlit Man, and then all this stuff. All right,
number 3 is a good one, because this is something we did get wrong. I think it was me who said this, but it said, I noticed you guys mentioned that Azir is the only section of Roshar not under Retribution's control. However, what about the Shattered Plains? Even if Sigzil's storyline was underwhelming, I thought the twist of the listeners in the Kaz and Fiends supposedly joining El just so they could hold Narek at the deadline was actually really cool. So now they get to be their own nation again, allied to the Alethi with access to Warlight, Surges, and Retribution's perpendicularity, which seems pretty significant. I imagine we're going to see Rlain and Renarin continue to try to bridge the gap between the listeners and the humans in the future, and maybe the Unmade will be involved with that. So this is cool because this kind of ties up everything we were just talking about. Like, well, what about the Unmade and everything else? But I did get that run that Azir was the only place that really wasn't underneath Retribution's control, and it did kind of ignore all of Sigil's storyline, which wasn't honestly it wasn't my favorite of the bunch. But I do enjoy the fact that the listeners in the Chasm Fiends, joining out, getting at the deadline. I like the fact that they're their own nation again. And without a doubt, R'Laine and Renarin are going to have a huge piece to play in foreign relations, I guess.
Yeah. And we still got the Renarin flashbacks to go.
Oh my.
So of course, of course it's going to be very significant.
Colon,
but
people.
In terms of like the world, L and next tier Chasm Fiends are two of the biggest things I want to look into, especially the Chasm Fiends, man. They were very interesting. Like the Venli chapters were great because of the world around her, which tends to be how Venli chapters go. I do like Venli, but she's just on the weaker scale for me of characters. But the Chasm Fiends protecting them and their songs and stuff that they're singing, they kind of remind me of whales. They're kind of like crustacean whales on Roshar. And then L, this guy who's I knew the Heralds, love those guys. He's just a major wild card because he got introduced at the end of Rhythm of War, and just the way he spoke with Taravangian and stuff held his ground so well that he's I like this new god, I can make this work for me. He's
I would make a top list for me of people I need to know more about immediately.
100%. He's so cool, calm, and collected. He was pretty much unfazed. I think that's my initial impression from blasting through the book in a week about a month ago. I was like, this guy's cool as hell. He's okay. So this is the new Roshar. I can work with this. But obviously, it's all this is a great span read because it all kind of ties in together, like you said. And I'm sure Ado Mishram, this is where she'll be heading straight away. Now that she's freed, she'll probably want to check out what's going on here at the Shattered Plains. And I'm sure Venli will have a lot to do with that. Rip Eshonai, still miss Eshonai every time there's a listener chapter. I wish Eshonai was there.
Yeah.
But man. Let's wrap this up. One episode to go. One episode to go.
And then a new era. A second era, if you will.
A second era. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
I'm just taking all the Kremlings. I'm going to give them therapy on a beach. That's going to be my.
Hey, bro. The Horde is now under my control. Okay, so just don't get any ideas as you leave the Lost in Roshar offices here. I don't want to see any
shards. Oh my god.
Oh man, it's just going to be me rambling with the red string and the tape and the newspaper articles. This is now Lost in Roshar. Just a madman.
People think that you were holding me back from going insane, but actually it was me holding you back from just trauma dumping Stormlight Archive.
Oh man, it's gonna just be every Kremling in every chapter.
Just start getting really aggressive about it.
Yeah. If you want to talk about character development, get out. All right, there's only one thing I want to talk about. All right, guys. As always, thank you for accompanying us on this episode of Lost in Roshar. Remember, the most important chapter a man can read is the next one. We'll see you next time as we farewell Jimmy into his new endeavors.
And if you enjoyed this episode of the podcast, be sure to leave us a review on whichever platform you listen on. And if you have any questions or theories, read us at lostandroshar@gmail.com. We'll see you next time on Lost and Roshar. And remember to keep that safe hand covered.